I hate to deliver bad news to you on a Monday morning, so why am I smiling? Well, I'm going to chase it up with some very good news. First up, the bad news. Remember the rumored specifications for the Canon EOS R5 Mark II that we got back on Black Friday of 2022? They said that we're going to get an announcement in the second quarter of 2023. Well, that's not going to happen. In fact, we're not going to get the announcement in 2023 at all. The announcement's going to come in 2024 alongside the Canon EOS R1. But to chase that bad news and to, well, soften the blow, Canon is going to announce a new firmware update, a big firmware update for the Canon EOS R5. Will it include pixel shift or even Canon Log 4? Or what about finally removing that 30-minute record limit? Details coming up, but first, please do me a favor. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to this channel, choose all notifications, like, comment, and all that good stuff. I greatly appreciate it. It means an awful lot to me, and it really helps this channel grow. Canon Rumours released detailed specs for the Canon EOS R5 Mark II on Black Friday 2022. The camera was supposed to be announced in Q2 2023, but as of March, we haven't heard anything for months. And these are the specs from that rumor. They look good. They look almost too good. A 61 megapixel sensor with a 9.44 million EVF, while being able to take stills at 30 frames per second electronic at 61 megapixels. Oversample footage, all the way up to 120 frames per second in 4K, and we also get 240 frames per second in 1080, along with dual CF Express Type B card slots and a standardized HDMI port, just to name a few. Looking at those specifications, it's hard not to believe that somebody left the Canon R5 along with the Sony a7 R5 and they had a child, delivering a camera that has the best capabilities of both cameras. But it's been a couple of months and, well, you know, that initial excitement that I had, that you probably had, has kind of died down a little bit. There were so many red flags in these rumored specifications that I put out a video not too long ago that talked about these red flags, 6 of them to be specific. Then just a couple of days ago, Jan Wagner told us that the Canon EOS R5 Mark II would not come out until 2024. I held off putting out a video because I wanted to validate this information myself, and I also wanted to be able to add something of value to the conversation. Then earlier this morning, Canon Rumours said, we reported in late November that we could see an EOS R5 Mark II in 2023, but that timeline has been debunked for the most part. We expect to see the next EOS R5 next year alongside the Canon EOS R1, most likely in the first half of 2024. We think this timeline makes far more sense. Well, there you have it. Sorry for bringing you the bad news. I was really excited on Black Friday when we had these leaked specifications for the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, a camera that was going to be announced in the second quarter of 2023, which back then, it didn't seem so far away. We could get an announcement in 4 to 6 months. But here we are today on a Monday morning, on a dreary, cold, damp Monday morning, and that, well, it's not true, but it does make 2024 look pretty exciting. Not only getting the EOS R5 Mark II, but also the Canon EOS R1 in the same time frame, and that's going to be pretty impressive. Sorry to bring you bad news on this cold, dreary, damp Monday morning, but I do have some really good news coming up. But first, let's just do a bit of a reality check. Let's look at the Canon EOS R5. This is almost a 3-year-old camera. It was announced back in July of 2020, and I bought it on the very first day it was available for sale. I've been using it ever since. And in that time frame, there really hasn't been a competitor to this camera. Sony did release the a7 R5 back in, well, late October of 2022. But it doesn't clobber the Canon EOS R5, it doesn't kill it. Sure, it does some really impressive features like pixel shift at 240 frames per second, removing any sort of artifact from moving subjects. And I think that's a pretty impressive job. Up until now, pixel shift has been plagued by anything moving in the frame, whether it be wildlife, fauna, subjects, people, even cars. But Sony's done a terrific job here. It's also able to do a much better job of focusing with its new dedicated AI chip, and of course 61 megapixels at 10 frames per second. But the Canon EOS R5, when it comes to video, can shoot 8K video raw at up to 30 frames per second. That's about 325 megabytes per second of data. The Sony a7 R5 or even the Alpha 1 can't do this. They can't even do 30 frames per second raw in 8K. And video-wise, the other capabilities, it's a pretty impressive camera. And yes, I get it. It's not 61 megapixels, it's 45.7, but it can do 20 frames per second. And I'm not trying to prove that the R5 is a better camera than the A7 R5 or vice versa. What I'm saying is here, almost 3 years after the announcement of the Canon EOS R5, you put these cameras side by side and no one is feeling one is lacking over the other. Yes, one has better video than the other, and yes, one has better stills capabilities to a degree than the other, but they're competitors, and the R5 doesn't feel dated in any way whatsoever. And many in the comments of the videos that I've been putting out since Black Friday talking about the R5 Mark II have said, do we really need an update at this point? Alan said, there won't be a Canon EOS R5 Mark II in 2023. There just isn't a need for it. And then Capano 808 said, in my opinion, Canon has no reason to announce or release the Mark II this year. If anything, it helps them extend their current life cycle and announce in late 2023 or 2024. Well, congratulations, gentlemen. You are both correct. And yes, you are correct as well. Many of us had doubts. And like I said, I put out a video just a couple of weeks ago now, talking about my red flags for the Canon EOS R5 Mark II and all the rumored specifications. But now for the good news. To keep the EOS R5 viable through 2023, at least in the features department, Canon will release a major new firmware update sometime this year. We wouldn't be surprised to see the new firmware update announced at NAB 2023 next month. Sometime after firmware 1.4 and then firmware 1.5, I thought we were kind of done with firmware updates, and then Canon released firmware 1.6. Well, it doesn't look like we're done with firmware updates on the Canon EOS R5, bringing a staggering amount of enhancements and improvements to the camera, along with several bug fixes, leaving many original Canon EOS R6 owners feeling a little bit frustrated at the lack of love, having to fork out another $2,500 just for a new model to fix a lot of, well, the architectural issues with that camera, at least with the overheating. So what features, bug fixes, and enhancements will this new big firmware update have? Well, Canon Rumours wasn't exactly sure, but they had this to say about it. While we don't have the new firmware release notes, we did get some information as to what to expect. Lens breathing correction, pre-shooting buffer, all capabilities that are found in the Canon EOS R6 Mark II, so certainly plausible. The removal of the 30-minute record limit, wow, now that one we've been waiting for a long time. This is the magical unicorn of firmware updates for the R5. Canon has even promised it or indicated that they were going to remove this back in July 2020, July the 10th, in an interview at AV Pro with a Canon representative or technologist, removal of the 30-minute record limit. Autofocus will get an improvement with vehicle tracking, bikes, trains, and planes, and additional tracking for more animals. We were also told to expect a couple of new features for the EOS R5, which are above and beyond anything currently in the EOS R lineup. Earlier in this video, I gave you an analogy of the Canon EOS R5 Mark II as being a child of the two R5s, the Sony a7 R5 and the Canon EOS R5. The rumored specifications for this big firmware update, some of them are coming from the EOS R6 Mark II, and some of them have been rumored for the R5 for a very long time, like the removal of that 30-minute record limit. But I expect that some of these new features for the EOS R5 will be, well, they'll be features borrowed from the Sony a7 R5, such as pixel shift. Now, I'm not saying this is a guaranteed, but it certainly makes sense that pixel shift technology is pretty impressive in the Sony a7 R5. Previously, pixel shift has been out for many years, but whenever there was a moving subject, object, whether it was a van, a person, or an animal, or even the blades of grass or the leaves in a tree moving, they created unwanted artifacts, making pixel shift pretty useless. But the Sony a7 R5 has greatly improved that capability. I thought this is something we would see in the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, but bringing it to the EOS R5, well, that would be pretty impressive. But I wonder what other capabilities that are found in the Sony a7 R5 that Canon could bring to this firmware update, because I think that's where we should look for some of these new capabilities. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below that we might receive. Focus breathing compensation, improvements in autofocus, removal of that 30-minute record limit. Yeah, they're all very enticing, and I own the Canon EOS R5, and I got to tell you, at this point here in 2023, I don't feel hugely disappointed by not getting the EOS R5 Mark II. I like the R5. I think it's very capable. And in fact, getting a firmware update, a big firmware update to the Canon EOS R5 with new enhancements and capabilities, that has me more excited than an EOS R5 Mark II. After all, I don't have to pay anything extra for this firmware update, and I get it sooner. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below, but we're not done with news yet. As for the Canon EOS R5C, Canon Rumours also believes that it also might get a firmware update alongside the Canon EOS R5. A camera that's been in much need of a firmware update for some time now, so that's pretty exciting news if you own the Canon EOS R5C. But this is pretty interesting, pretty exciting update. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting. I promise you I'd shake the rumor tree and see what falls out. And it might be a Monday morning and there might be some bad news, but I think this firmware update, this big firmware update for the R5, well, is better news. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest camera news and rumors, I've proven time and time again that I'm one of the first out there, and when it comes to video, I'm the first to cover not only Canon, Nikon, Sony, Pentax, and the works, Panasonic with their S5 Mark II. Then go ahead and subscribe and choose all notifications. It means an awful lot to me when you subscribe, but it really helps this channel grow, along with sharing this information, sharing news about this video on Twitter or other social media websites. It really does help this channel grow. But if you want to stay up to date on the latest camera news and rumors, make sure you also choose all notifications. So that way you get notified by YouTube. Just make sure you check your spam folder or junk folder, because sometimes these messages get trapped in there. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter for all the minor news, rumors, and updates. But that's it for now. I've got to get this video edited, get it ready, and then I start my workday in about 3 or 4 hours. Yep, I was up really early this morning for this video, around 4 o'clock. So thank you, thank you. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.